You wake up and silence your phone. You scroll through hundreds of movies on Netflix and eventually put on something you've already seen. You open Amazon, scroll past dozens of options, and add the usual brand to your cart. Walk down any aisle and you'll see it. A hand reaches up for a box of laundry detergent. No label reading, no pausing to compare. We like to think we operate like rational calculators. The assumption is that when we need something, we weigh the alternatives, analyze the data, and make an active decision based on what's best. But the human brain is actually wired to minimize effort. When faced with even minor uncertainty, it quietly steers us toward what feels familiar, even if another option is objectively superior. Doing nothing new might feel passive, but in a world overflowing with options, simply repeating yesterday's habit is a remarkably powerful choice.
Which raises a strange question. When you grabbed that detergent or clicked that movie, when did you actually make the decision to do it? The timeline of that decision likely stretches back months or even years before you ever set foot in the store or opened the app. If every single one of the thousands of micro-choices we make daily required deep analysis, our cognitive reserves would drain completely before lunch. To prevent that exhaustion, we rely on psychological heuristics, simple rules of thumb. And the strongest one we have is the automatic assumption that if we have seen something before, it must be safe. Thousands of years ago, this instinct kept us alive. Walking down an unfamiliar path meant potential danger. Eating an untested food carried a literal risk of death. Sticking with what was known ensured survival. That exact same biological hardware is still operating today. Only now, instead of evaluating foraging paths, it is rapidly scanning rows of identical boxes, credit cards, and streaming services to find the one it recognizes first. Psychologists call this the mere exposure effect. Simply encountering a logo, or a familiar song, or a product repeatedly makes you like it more. You don't have to learn a single new fact about it. Brands operate on a massive scale just to exploit this trait. They spend billions of dollars on billboards, notifications, and neon signs entirely to ensure you've seen them well before you actually need what they sell. The exposure builds a quiet sense of recognition. Over time, that recognition morphs into comfort, and comfort acts as a stand-in for trust. Modern advertising succeeds by bypassing our evaluation entirely. It avoids the need to convince us of quality, focusing instead on becoming the brain's automatic default. While physical products rely on visual recognition, modern digital platforms take this a step further. They engineer our defaults by weaponizing convenience. Features like autofill, saved payment methods, and one-click checkout feel incredibly helpful. But by removing all friction from a transaction, they also eliminate the very moments of pause where conscious evaluation normally takes place. This accelerates when single services expand into ecosystems. Your watch history links to your music taste, which syncs with your smart speaker, which holds your saved addresses. The platform curates itself precisely to your habits. This extreme level of personalization tricks the brain into feeling a sense of ownership over a system it merely rents. And humans are deeply affected by loss aversion. We feel the pain of giving something up far more intensely than we feel the pleasure of acquiring something new of equal value. Every saved password, curated playlist, and built-in preference tangles together to artificially inflate the psychological barrier to exit. Companies rarely need to lock customers into rigid, long-term contracts anymore. They secure loyalty through the sheer ease of staying exactly where you are. You keep the service not because you constantly verify it's the best option available, but because leaving it would feel like tearing down and rebuilding a small part of your life. Every digital action feeds back into this structure. Each click, stream, and purchase trains the algorithmic machinery to serve up a slightly narrower version of what you already engage with. The system becomes highly efficient at predicting exactly what will keep you comfortable. But in doing so, it loses any capacity to surprise you. This convenience brings a specific unseen cost, the gradual, unnoticed loss of human exploration. We stop picking up unfamiliar authors. We walk past new restaurants to eat our regular order. We insulate ourselves from new hobbies, different careers, and challenging ideas. A life built on optimizing for comfort
slowly closes in on itself, wrapping us in a tight boundary of our own past choices. It happens quietly. We slip into autopilot at the morning coffee counter or in the checkout aisle, perfectly content in the routine. We rely on familiarity to keep life manageable. But the next time you reach for the usual, ask yourself if you are actively choosing it or simply repeating yesterday. The heaviest cost of playing it safe is forgetting that choosing was ever an option.